Hey everybody, so I'm just sitting in my backyard here. Super beautiful day out in the spring, and still got a really bad cold here. And that's okay. I'm taking the elderberry syrup. Just chilling out here with my dog. I actually leave a couple chairs where I like to sit. I leave her leash out in the apartment swing here so that when we get out back, I tie her one leash to her other one, and she loves it. The first year I had her, she didn't really feel safe out back, so she wouldn't let me, and now she actually wants to sit. Like if I try to walk back in, she'll just try to lay down, and that's beautiful. Neighbors putting up some seeds for the birds. We're gonna grow some food here, maybe plant some flowers, hopefully pick up some garbage together, maybe raise some money to fix the swing and the benches, and that'd be really beautiful. Actually, I'm just trying to spend as much time as I can outside. I'm trying to wake up and listen to a spiritual podcast every day just to get my mindset in the right direction. I've been listening to podcasts about Jesus and stuff, so Christ consciousness and all of these ideas that I actually wrote a list of things to my pastor, to the church I was going to ask him about, because it's really was confusing to me about this idea that we need to follow rules to be saved, right? And if you look at the New Testament and actually read it, you'll actually see excuse me, you'll actually see that what's going on with the churches teaching all of these rules. They teach that New Age is bad. They teach that being gay is bad, and that these things are worshiping Satan, right? And at times I wonder, like, is this true? But then I weigh the evidence in my own life and come to the conclusion it's not. And so the thing is, you know, the Bible does condemn these practices. That's true. It is written. But the Bible also says these other things. It says, and I don't have it in front of me, so if I misquote it, I apologize, but it says that unless we are more righteous than the Pharisees, we won't go to heaven. It says, like, not a single pen stroke from the Old Testament will be removed from the law until we fulfill it, and that we need to follow every single rule in the Old Testament but not teach people to do it. Jesus came and said that the Pharisees were so full of rules that they themselves couldn't keep, thus they were hypocrites, right? And you know, the New Testament will speak of women aren't allowed to speak in church, and then it goes on to say, if you don't obey this, like, you don't go to heaven. And then it also says, don't be like the, I don't know if they call them hypocrites or what. Don't go to the front row in the church to sit in the most important seat of the church and to pray in front of everybody else, and to pray on the street corners, and to tell people where your money is going, and that, you know, you give to charity, and don't say that in front of a group of people. It says that if you do those things, then you're not making it to heaven. You need to go home, shut your bedroom door, be alone, and pray that way. And yet the churches don't follow that either, even though the Bible says if you do that, you would go to hell. But it also says my church is a place of prayer. So there's a lot of contradictions and stuff, right? And so it also says, like, wrath will be brought upon those who try to obey the law, for where there is no law, there is no transgression. And that the only law that matters is love God above all else and love your brother as yourself. And so there is a lot of contradictions. There's certain rules, but then the Bible says do not argue about trivial matters, right? And here the Christians are arguing about which day to have Sabbath on, what to do on Sabbath, like what to do with gay people, what to do with spiritual people, all of these things. And then I started to think, and I was like, well, if the Old Testament Jewish people believed and had all these rituals and everything, and then Jesus came to say, enough with that, enough with those laws, you hypocrites, and then he teaches a whole new thing, then why can't this be the time on earth when maybe Christ consciousness comes back within us and we become like Jesus? Why can't this be the time when the New Testament rules can be overridden? If the Old Testament rules were overridden, why can't there be a time when the New Testament rules are as well? And I've been going to church lately, and it's given me a lot of beautiful insights as to like where I was really struggling with the idea of good and evil and not really knowing which is which in a lot of situations, like what to eat, how to spend your time, New Age, all this stuff. But then I got clarity into like there are things that are clearly evil, and that aren't. And so, like sitting out back with my dog, or like walking her more, or like eating better, or like getting to bed on time, or like helping out a friend with dementia, or applying to work with seniors, or applying to the health food store to be a herbalist. So all these things that are clearly good versus evil, and then there's more gray areas, right? So like should we eat meat and stuff, right? But I'm thinking like this whole idea of Christ consciousness, where Jesus gets to come back within us, where we, that saying, what would Jesus do, right? Where we act like a Christian instead of just calling ourselves Christian. We help the poor, we aren't greedy, we donate money, we live righteously, we can sing, we can be full of joy and peace, we can meditate, we can act in a state of love towards our family and our friends. We can not turn a blind eye on that homeless person that wants to have a conversation on the bus. A lot of people are on the bus with fentanyl addictions, and other people get on the bus and they stick their nose up at them and like who are they to be on the bus, right? And the attitudes like that, it's just so sad, because that could have been us, right? If we had their life, and hurt people. So who are we to judge? And those people need our compassion and ways to help them. And so there's so many ways to help, like giving your old belongings to a thrift store, or talking to a neighbor for a little while that is struggling, and always striving to be honest and humble, right? And loving and kind and beautiful, and also like towards ourselves too, right? Like some wisdom I got from the church, right, is not the idea of the enemy, but like that the enemy is within us, right? Like we can't prove Satan is real, but we know that we all have those inner thoughts and attacks that are saying that we're not good enough, and that we'll never amount to anything, and that we might as well not even try because we're gonna fail. And it's thoughts like those that would keep me from making a YouTube video, or from applying for work, or from going out of the house or whatever. And so coming back to like, hey, actually, like, I am a good person, I'm a beautiful person, surrounded by beautiful people, I have a good dog, I can take care of her, I start going through all these things we're grateful for. And so churches are beautiful. They give a place to pray and community, and like they teach good values, and they heal the sick all the time. People are, stuck on addictions, and they come walking to church, they're abusing their wife, whatever. I've seen it over and over, people changing in heart. And they say that's through a relationship with Jesus. But I can't really explain it. It's a paranormal mystery to me. as to what's really going on there. And I think it's been a really healing journey for me to go back to the church, but I don't want to believe that all this stuff of wearing crystals and smudging and prayer and vision boards and all these beautiful things, I don't want to believe that they are evil. I see all these videos of from New Age to Christian. I don't see any from Christian to New Age. I've looked, but I think there's a place for both. And yeah, I think that we're called to love one another. We're called to love ourselves, right? And to serve, to practice compassion and empathy, and all these beautiful traits that we're all capable of. And we can watch all the podcasts that we want, but if we're not applying the tools, it's not going to stay in a full cup here. It's not going to stay in an empty cup. We need to empty ourselves. We need to meditate and breathe and do these practices too. We can't just get information. We need to apply the tools, whether it's journaling, meditation, stretching, yoga, cooking, art, you name it, drumming, whatever. There's a million different ways to find some peace and joy. But I think I'll leave it at that, and I hope y'all comment something nice here. Please don't bash me. If you comment something rude, I will remove it. If you want to say something nice, I will write you back if I see it. And much love to all of you. Thanks. Bye.